Hey legal legend, welcome to Legal Lightbulbs, where we uncover bright ideas to power small in-house legal teams. I'm Verity White, the lucky lawyer who gets to chat with some of the smartest minds in the in-house legal world to help legal legends like you have a big impact with a small legal team. Welcome to the Legal Lightbulbs podcast. I'm here today with Alison Cusack, who is the shipping lawyer and founding of Cusack & Co. Cusack & Co. Former in-house counsel at a global shipping line, so she really has seen it all. And now with her boutique law firm, she helps her clients, especially lean legal teams, navigate trade, tariffs and transport risk with contracts. We love contracts.
Love contracts.
That actually work in the real world. We love that. Thank you so much for coming along, Alison.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be in my first ever real podcast studio.
Real. It's a real podcast here. So you've worked in small in-house legal teams before, and you also help support small in-house legal teams now. And you work as a fractional GC of sorts for business of lots of different shapes and sizes. What kind of unique pressure have you seen that legal teams have in that importer-exporter business? What are some of those unique issues for small legal teams?
So I think the unique thing is that shipping is so incredibly two-speed. It's not kind of like, and this and this and this. It's genuinely like I can triage immediately based on the information being like, oh, okay, we have 30 minutes. You know, like that TikTok sound being like, do you know you have 30 minutes? That has genuinely been a real life situation for me where they're like, if you cannot give us an answer in this 30, not even an answer, if you cannot provide a document from scratch in 30 minutes, it's going to be a multi-million-dollar impact from when I was in-house. And then other times you're like, oh, they're like, oh, it's urgent. And I was like, oh, I've got 2 weeks. I was like, this is luxurious. I'm like, I will turn my attention to this next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
pace, absolutely pace. So people who it's urgent to the company, but actually operationally it's not urgent. So it's being able to give them that sort of take a breath.
Yes.
You have time to think and consider and give them that insight because they don't have necessarily the understanding to split it out and say, oh my God, yes, actually triage it versus sort of spot fire, squeaky wheel, commercial pressure because it's the most important thing on that commercial manager's desk.
I find that's one of the things that I always love, how actually valuable lawyers' insights are on process. And often lawyers think like, why can't the in-house, why can't the business just figure this out? But lawyers do, especially in-house lawyers, you get to see the full process. And it sounds like that's kind of the amazing advice that you're able to give as well.
Well, and that's the thing. So in terms of shipping law, one of the very nice positive feedbacks that I get from other lawyers and sort of the commercial operational people is they're like, you actually have a lot of operational insight and a lot of operational knowledge. And I do tend to drop industry terms where I can to really gain that immediate kind of, oh, she's using that term. So for instance, if you're running a container into a yard, and the stevedores, as you do, and the stevedores want to kick it out. I was like, oh, yeah, it's like B959. And they're like, oh! And so, I just drop that in and then immediately that you get this sort of, oh, okay, she knows a bit of the lingo, she understands the ops sort of process, she understands the deadlines are, the shipping is really like, when you go into a plane and you're like, okay, my plane departs at 1:50, but I bought at 1:25.
Yeah.
Same with shipping. It's like, your cargo, your ship departs on whatever date, but you got to load it by a certain date and then you got to be there so you can run through security. So it's about sort of going, I know that, a 5th of May date is actually 30th of April.
Yeah, you actually have to do some stuff beforehand.
I need some paperwork, guys.
Well, it's so topical that we're having the chat because everyone's been swept up in this whirlwind of tariffs and global trade. Lots of pressure on in-house teams to keep pace with triaging new risks, emerging risks we don't even know are risks. So can you paint a picture of what that whirlwind looks like for in-house teams?
Absolutely. So what they're facing is trying to understand what their contractual obligations are, which firstly includes finding the contract. There's definitely one. Let's start with the amount of times they're like, well, there has to be a contract, and I was like, does there? Does there? You sure it's not an Excel spreadsheet and a handshake and a beer?
There was an email somewhere.
Yeah. Just an email going, see attached, no attachment. It's great. They're like, oh, I don't know. So for in-house teams, it's really about cutting through the noise, first of all, right? So you're going to have a lot of panicked C-suite, a lot of panicked CFOs because the CFO world is starting to understand how this is impacting the bottom line and
Yes.
their quarter forecasting. And so the other thing that I would definitely say to in-house teams listening is your commercial managers are going to be listening to some dude down the pub who goes, oh, no, this is the answer. And it's going to involve something to do with switch bills of lading or tricking customs.
Not that we're advocates.
Yeah. So there's going to be some, oh no, like this is such the clever workaround, and then they're going to tell that to the commercial person, and the commercial person's going to take that as gospel, and then they're just going to do it and be like, oh, I won't bother legal because, whatever they're swamped. And then you'll be like, oh, that was a choice. That was an interesting choice. That might invalidate your insurances and your legal standing and regulatory compliance and all those good things. So I would definitely say that is you said, risks they don't know about. I know a shortcut. I heard a thing. I saw it on Reddit. Someone. So, I'm in a weird group chat, and that's what I've always found. The solutions are novel and they're confident.
Yes.
And they're just flagrantly problematic.
And I guess it's kind of that fine line between, you want to be really close with the CFO, with the commercial team, but then not get pulled into every women fancy.
The women fancy, I've got to say, as an former in-house lawyer, I did train the commercial guys. Were like, just ask, just be like, ask me for, your mate, tell me the problem your mate's going through, and somehow that just really helped them just ask the question. Like, instead, it wasn't even hypothetical. It's like, look, if a mate was doing this and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, okay, hypothetically for your mate, and then you almost get that kind of like advance warning of what sort of is being said around the water cooler and what's kind of like in the Teams chats and going, what's the thinking? Because that's another risk, is that you get someone in the business saying something off the cuff, a little bit flippant, someone takes it seriously, and then all of a sudden it's 3/4 way down the track.
It's such an interesting...
And I've seen that, and the person who said it found out much later that they had thought he was serious, and he was like, you guys are idiots.
I think it's such an interesting point as well, and I know that sometimes we hate being reactive as lawyers.
Yeah.
But in these instances, sometimes you do have to get ahead of it. I know in COVID days, when we had pivot, we had a lot, exactly right. We had so many issues where I was in-house, and force majeure was the thing. And
can we talk about force majeure?
We have to have a whole session.
I'm still getting questions about force majeure and whether tariffs constitute force majeure.
Oh, we love this.
And I was like, read your contract.
Yeah.
if you had one, if you had a contract, you could read the definition. I'm like, there's no. I won a case during COVID because the other side claimed force majeure, and I was like, show me your T's and C's. And they said, you don't need to see that. And I said, except I think I do. And they had never provided a new updated set when they changed the business name. Ooh. So they only had the OG old set, which was so old it referred to the TPA. And I was like, guess what's not in there? Force majeure. Oh, no. Check your basics. But yeah, once again, force majeure, it's a definition. Unlikely there'll be tariffs in there, but I have been building in tariff trapdoors for my clients and contracts to be like, everyone gets to, drop hands and walk away if the contract becomes unprofitable, significantly. But back to some basic, I'm sure the audience is like, give us a checklist, Alison. Give us.
We love checklists.
Checklists.
We love.
Get your contracts. So that's going to be your buy-sell contracts, which have your Incoterms. And then you'll find out that your team have been making up their own Incoterms, which no one knows the definition of.
I love Incoterms because they're visual. The actual list of all the Incoterms are very cute little visuals.
But they've started coming up with, someone's created a new Incoterm, which is doing the rounds on LinkedIn to try and get around the tariffs.
Right. Okay.
They've put a little, I think it's a little M before it or something, and I'm getting tagged in these LinkedIn posts, and I'm like, stop it, guys. Okay. Please stop it. So they're coming up with their, so I see all the time, I'm like, hey, here are Incoterms. Like, what if we did CIF plus 10%? And I was like, that's really great. 10% of what? And they're like, everyone knows. And I'm like, well, I don't, because I'm asking. So check your Incoterms, then get your insurance to see what you're uncovered for insurance, because then you'll find out that your Incoterm on your buy-sell contract is not the same as the Incoterm that you have insurance coverage for. And then start working out, I'd probably issue a few guidances around, no, we're not going to entertain things like switch bills or taking taking a cargo to a different country and parking it for 100 days and then moving it on and changing the country of origin to avoid tariffs.
Yep.
You know, just as like a disclaimer, being like, you know, you can apply on, you know, you can come to legal on a case-by-case basis, but you might want to start putting out a few preemptive, no, we're not doing that unless you come talk to us first.
I think that's when, like with that force majeure issue, I think it is so important for legal to occasionally, just when people are going a little bit manic, to just be like, we're having a call, everyone tune in, we're doing a back to basics review on.
And I definitely think, because I created the in-house training program when I was in-house, because I was sick of the same questions, and I was like, right, I'm running this and you're all forced to come.
It's actually one of the best reminders. If you get sick of giving anyone information, make a guide.
Oh no, I would make a guide. I would run training, and I was like, did you read the guide? And they're like, oh, if only it was simpler. And I was like, simpler than the 4 pages? And they're like, and I was like, you didn't open it, did you? And I was like, busted. But also, just quickly, switch bills when you cash in your set of bills of lading and then you purport it's from a different. So if as a transshipment port, you'll cash it in, say it's Singapore, and then say, oh, so it's from Singapore, not from somewhere else.
Yes.
And the reason I'm very familiar with this is I was working at the shipping line when Russia put the sanctions on Australian fresh fruit produce, and we had thousands of containers en route to Russia.
Yeah.
Because, you know, back then it wasn't as, you know, geopolitically as it is today.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've seen a lot of what people are willing to have a crack at. They're willing to have a crack at anything except coming to talk to legal.
Yeah.
And read a contract.
Well, yeah. Well, why wouldn't they? Of course they'd come to chat to you.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I think those are some really good, helpful, you know, ways for people to approach it, because it can be super overwhelming.
Oh, so overwhelming. And that's the thing. It's okay to call in, like, the specialists.
Yes.
I mean, not that I can't call myself a specialist because there's no actual qualification to do that. But, you know, call in the people who this is their daily.
Yeah.
This is their daily. It's very, you know, I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I know what's.
You've seen it all, yeah.
Oh, I've seen a lot.
I've seen a lot, yeah. Well, I mean, this is, and I think we've talked about a little bit of what in-house lawyers might often miss when it comes to global trade and tariffs, and I think that's the problem where people don't know what they don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm very much a believer in, I'm willing to, you know, if it's time sensitive, let's knock it out and let's get it sorted. But I'm also a big believer in, hey, let me train you a little bit as we go.
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to look out for the showstoppers, the red flags. Let me, you know, I will come and do CPD for you, right? Let me come and teach your business about your business. And when you go, oh, and that's a problem, oh, and that's a problem, like you could even bring in your commercial team as well and have a hybrid session and go, hey, this is when you call in-house. This is when in-house will then call me.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most valuable things when in-house teams can get in a niche expert, because they learn from working with them and then spread the love.
And that's the thing, like I always appreciated understanding getting the headlines, right? What's the new thing of the moment? What do I need to look out? What's the sus? You know, who did something really dodgy and now there's a court case or there's a practice note or whatever. Like, what am I, you know, I don't want to get caught out on something notorious, for instance.
It's so hard for in-house lawyers to stay on top of all of that.
And that's the other thing, is that if you're an in-house lawyer and you're working for an importer and exporter, supply chain is a bolt-on even in those industries, right? So if you're Kmart, if you're Bunnings, supply chain still bolt-on to the shop fronts and the licensing and the franchising and the, you know, leases and, you know, all the slips and trips and all that kind of stuff. Supply chain is such a bolt-on even in, you know, in a huge importer. Yeah. And there's not that visibility and there's not that kind of like, oh, what's coming down the pipeline. Call someone, even if you don't need them yet, reach out and start a dialogue, have their phone number, make sure they have your phone number. So at 6 o'clock on the day before Easter weekend, when you want a contract reviewed, instead of emailing, I don't know, my admin email address, you could call me.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
So if I'm a sole lawyer or for a business, or maybe I have a small team, how do you, like, when should they, what's a red flag for them to be bringing in a niche expert?
I think, I mean, gut feeling is, there's something hinky about this, and everyone's got the good gut feeling. I honestly think, you know, for me personally, if you wanted to reach out and say, can I have a 1 hour like free CPD and we have a chat and whatever, and it's a bit of, oh, you know, pay me, that'd be great too. But, you know, build up that relationship, get that look, or pay them for a couple, have a chat on the phone and then pay them for a couple of hours to come in and have a chat about the business and then see what questions the external says, what about this, what about this, what about this? And not in a mean way, but just, if you find yourself going, so that's a great question. I don't think I know the answer to that. And just, it really just tease out the start shifting your unknown unknowns into your known unknowns.
Yeah.
And then you can decide as a business risk businesses have different risk appetites, but it's about going, I always say to clients, I don't care what kind of risk level you want because I'm going to sleep soundly because it's your business. But I want you to at least choose the risk that you're taking, not have it choose you because you're not aware.
Yeah, exactly. And even like not making a choice is a choice in a lot of ways. You're just being lazy. You're just kind of like, I don't know.
You can be overwhelmed. And the tariff thing is very overwhelming because this thing's changing at lightning speed. Even as I was coming here, I saw updated news around aluminium tariffs and how it's going to apply to beer cans, and they've got a 14-day window of response. So if anyone exports anything in aluminium cans to the United States, you've now got 14 days to put in a proposition around how that's going to impact you.
Stressful. Like it's just so stressful because like all the microbreweries, all of the crap, they already had such a crappy.
Oh, I know. They had a boom and now they're sort of coming into a bust. But also, small businesses in America. I'm seeing, there's a lady who does convertible heels, which I would love to buy. And, she's documenting how it's impacting on her business. And so I think I definitely would also say don't put your head in the sand. So much I see ostriching. You just got to take a breath and push through it.
And start somewhere, right?
Start somewhere because, you can follow the thread.
Follow the shipping lawyer.
Yes.
Because you're across all of these issues like that, like aluminium cans, I mean, obviously
I know.
in that industry it's going to be impactful. But
well, that's the thing, I'm keeping across on like, the 800 de minimis, they're scrapping that. Now Hong Kong's not going to be shipping any parcels, and then what's the impact on Shein and what's the impact on Temu? And then is there going to be triangulation into Australia? Are they going to try and recoup losses? And, these are the conversations I was having months ago with exporters in Australia to India. And I said, but you need to worry about triangulation of tariffing and how it's going to play out because we're not in a bubble. And so, looking back, I'm like a bit smug that I was having these
perfect
conversations.
That's your area. I mean, that is why you're the niche expert and that's why you're the shipping lawyer, because you're across all of this. And I think that is what I love about experts, especially boutique experts, because you live it and breathe it.
But it's fun and it's interesting.
Yeah.
And, I went on a 10-minute rant about, because all I'm seeing on TikTok is like, there's 0 ships in the ports. And I was like, this is BS. And I went on a 10-minute rant on TikTok and then everyone loved it because I was talking about cartels and consortiums and like all these different things and like how you've got trade routes or routes, whichever one you pronounce it. And then everyone loved it and like, well, tell us more. And I was like, great. And then I recorded another video on the back of that going, let's go into marine traffic. Let me show you all the ships that are in the port that apparently they're not in the port. Let's get back to some facts. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, good. Absorb this information. Don't listen to random people making 12-second videos.
Yeah, and I think...
that's another good point. Please follow people who are like regarded within their own industry. If you want to just sort of tap in and out, just start following people who are industry commentators or industry experts or legal experts who put out content who are well regarded by the other experts and just follow them for their little... You don't have to read it all, but just... like it on LinkedIn so it keeps coming up in your feed for the algorithm.
A few things like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Someone shipping lawyer said something about aluminium cans.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out, or just track them down and call them.
It's definitely good. I mean, it's hard because I know everyone's emails are like swamped. And that's
the other thing. Like I'll get like those things and I'm like, I can't even open it anymore.
Yeah, I have such a huge saved I will read this content one day list. But anyway, I'll get to that. Yeah. So we know I'm a small in-house legal leader, or solo lawyer. I know I need a niche expert, but no one ever has any budget. So what kind of approach do you have for those small in-house legal teams on building the budget, building the business case to get external support? And I mean, often those small teams see it as they see like, oh, if I ask for money, it means I'm not good at my job. Or so. I feel like they kind of feel like they're not doing their proper job.
No, I totally get that. And that's where having been in-house for 6 years, we didn't even have a panel. So we didn't even have kind of like the go-tos. We did a lot of it ourselves. And then we were like, not doing that, outsource.
Perfect.
Not doing that, outsource. And I mean, I had a phenomenal GC. We're still to this day, like, catch up for lunch and stuff. It's really cute. But for me, I would be like, I have lived that in-house life. I want to help you. Every time I have an in-house on the phone, I said, can I sign an agreement you prepare for an engagement agreement? What gets it over the line for your board? What gets it over the line for your management? How do I make your day easier? Because I know what it's like to be in-house. How do I make your day easier? You know the client. What can I do for you?
Yep.
And so that really shifts it as well, and also telling them that you're in-house, because it really shifts it. And I always say, listen, you tell me the time frame, you tell me the budget, and I'll tell you what I can give you realistically within that budget. But the other thing I like to do, fixed pricing.
Yeah.
Just fixed pricing, because either if I want to go...
Asking for fixed pricing is really important. A lot of legal teams don't necessarily ask or know how to do it.
And this is the thing, I'm a big believer in just having a pretty robust chill chat, right? Because you want to know that you can work well together. So for instance, when I instruct barristers, I'll have a coffee and I go, listen, this is the way that I work. If that doesn't work for you, that's cool. We shouldn't work together.
Yep.
But I'm like, let's have a little chat about what your expectations, be honest, and I'll tell you, and if it's not a right fit, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's why I say to in-house teams, what do you need? Like, what do you actually need? Do you need me to pick up the phone at 8 o'clock at night? Or do you need me to respond to emails within 6 hours? Like what? Or do you need to know that I'm on it? And obviously you build trust, but it's about them. Sometimes I think in-house you have to perform a lot of your time, like especially pre-COVID when you're in the office every day. You had to have your client face on all the time, and you forget that you can just drop that and go, you know what? If you could provide a 4-page advice that I can keep on file and then cherry pick some bit for internally, and then you could do it at this price and you could get it done in a week, then my life would be fantastic.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Just ask and they might say yes.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're the one who has the work, you know what you need. Just have the confidence.
But do they always know what they need?
Okay. Well, they know.
Sometimes you need something.
No, okay, this is a really fantastic point, right? They need, do they need coverage? Do they need a solution? Do they need a fix, right? And because some people come to me and go, I need to do this, this, and this. And I said, why? And they said, because I want this. I'm like, so that's what you want?
Yeah.
That's the destination. I'll worry about how we get there.
Yeah.
Because I know a better way to get there.
Perfect.
And I say to them, what about this? They go, I didn't even know that was an option. I was like, that's why you come to me. And sometimes I have a really clever, quick, fast, efficient fix.
Perfect.
As opposed to something a bit more old school because they haven't kept up with the products on the market, right? And so if the answer is the board are twitchy about this because of this risk or this liability or whatever, or they want it ticked off, just tell me who's the squeaky wheel, what's their motivation, and then I can be like, actually, we could package it up and do this, and they go, that's great, because I know what it's like to have to calm a board down or calm a manager down or make them feel like it's very much handled or very much secure. And sometimes as well, can I just say to in-house teams, sometimes getting an external opinion when even if it's going to completely 100%, 1000% back you up, just go get it. Because I've done that where I was like, I'm going to get an external opinion. I know I'm right. I'm the expert in this. It was cartels and competition law. I was like, I am the queen of this at this moment. But I got that external thing because I knew the inevitable question was going to come from the CEO, because my GC was on leave, long leave. And the thing was, well, did you get checked by anyone? And I was like, and I can go, yep.
And if you, and I think, if your approach to that probably was, I believe this, and this, can you sense check it and do it? And that's such a basic advice and quite cost effective to do it that way.
And that's the other thing. And I think what I did was I sent my advice, and they said, I just changed this one bit. And I said, I whipped it up this morning. They said, how the hell did you do this in 3 hours? And I said, I'm in-house. I don't have any extra time. What is this luxury of time? But no, I would definitely say, ask the lawyer. For instance, I would happily help any in-house team put together a business case and work with them on how do we say that we're solving a problem or answering a thing, and also give them the ROI, because I have the experience to know how much I've saved people versus not. So for instance, I think we were talking earlier about, before we started recording about when I'd, what's an ROI. And I had someone call me at 5:30 at night, and they had a container coming in and they were going to charge more money. The shipping line was going to charge, they wanted to charge 30,000 USD.
Yep.
And if they didn't pay that immediately, they were going to hold the container, and the detention demurrage charges, the container hire charges, were going to rack up and up. It's hundreds of dollars a day, right? So ticking time clock, lot of coercion.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking that's coercion. Yeah, it kind of is sometimes. And because I got involved, by the time the container arrived, we'd negotiated it down to a $4,000 extra freight charge, AUD.
Yeah.
Not 30,000 USD on top of everything else. And, we got it solved before the container even entered into the country.
Yeah.
So, boom.
And that's a great example that you can say, well, this is how we save money, this is how we build relationships, and this is the value of the,
Yeah, but I
agree with you on, because I work with my in-house clients as well to help build business cases, and we'll often do it even if we're doing ongoing work, monthly updates, quarterly updates, and just getting them in the format so that then they can just easily present it to whoever needs to see it. They don't have to struggle with building it themselves.
I've gotten, can I say, as an in-house lawyer, I've gotten some of the most abysmally formatted advice. And I looked at it and I was like, why do you hate me? I'm the client. Tailor it to the
Give
client.
me something I can use.
Yeah, I was like, what is this trash? It wasn't trash. You know what I mean? For me, it wasn't in a form that I could sort of, excerpt out. I was like, oh, now I have to do more work. I think
it's good, and that's kind of to your point earlier on working with your external advisors on what do you actually need, what would be useful. Don't just ask for advice, but do you want a letter? Do you want a memo? Do you want a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah. Do you want a sort of all-encompassing background document that you can refer to and pick pieces out because you're going to need a little bit here and a little bit there, and you want a master go-to sort of explanatory, memorandum where it's here's the cheat sheet on this issue when they come back, and here's all the legislative references, and here's the section numbers, and here's the, a nice whole Bible of sorts of being oh, this is my, this is, if I had to go into an exam, I'd be so sad.
Well, shifting across a little bit kind of into AI, technology, kind of being efficient and kind of working with the law, because obviously we can't go anywhere without talking about AI. And back in the day, and I was invested in some actually, this blockchain technology for shipping with product provenance to be able to prove that the salmon comes from this particular place and it's not, the octopus is actual octopus and not other things.
Yep.
But what impacts have you seen so far from technology and AI? I know you're kind of right in the weeds on it.
Oh, it is very funny. So during lockdown, I was in this group and there was a lot of tech founders and whatever, and blockchain was big. Blockchain was big. Everyone, and I was steadfastly against it. So anyone that's seen Bride Wars, when she's trying on the wedding dress and it's you don't alter yourself to fit Vera Wang. You don't alter Vera Wang to fit you. You alter yourself to fit Vera Wang. Yeah. And I would always say that about blockchain. I said, no, blockchain is too rigid, and your supply chain is a live moving animal, right? It's never, it's a breathing thing, and you're trying to shove it into this very static, rigid thing called blockchain. I said, when in actual fact, blockchain needs to be flexible enough to adapt to the supply chain, and you've actually got the wrong mentality around it. I said, so blockchain is the Vera Wang, right? It's the Vera Wang wedding dress. And really going to reach a target niche audience. but here's the thing. So I was very vocal against blockchain because I don't think the people building it understood the operational mechanics of supply chain.
It works well in theory, but...
Well, yeah, exactly. And so because I had been in that operational space across many, many countries, right, from PNG, which doesn't have internet, good chunk of the time, right? And then you've got other people who don't use EDI and they're not online, they're still using paper. And we had a few very big
EDI.
Oh yeah, it's information data interchange. Yeah,
yep.
So
okay, cool.
Someone can fact check me on that. I've never had to remember the real.
They don't have EDI.
Yeah, that's the thing. But so we had these big vessel incidents, and one was a Maersk ship, and she was supposed to be going to Long Beach, and she had to divert to Mexico, a whole nother country. I think it was the Maersk Essen. And I said, and I went online and I went to Clubhouse when that was still a thing for its 5 minutes of fame. And I said, listen, anyone who's building a blockchain product, I'm very openly against blockchain because I don't think it's the right fit for supply chain. Other places, great. I don't think it's for this. I mean, Providence, again, probably different, but, for supply chain and bills of lading and all that, I was like, absolutely not. And I said, anyone, I will have an open call. Anyone who can explain to me how their product would respond in a Maersk Essen type situation where it had to go from the US to Mexico and can show me, I will publicly endorse your product on LinkedIn, on every platform. Not a single person took me up on that. And so for me, I think they are working on electronic bills of lading. I am very much a purist in like, you don't even understand the document as it stands. Like freight forwarders, importers, exporters banks even don't truly understand the power of that document. And I'm like, until you learn it and appreciate and understand its power, you don't deserve an electronic version. Like that's my philosophy, because I'm like, you don't even know the point of it. Yeah. So how can you factor it into like an AI if you don't actually know the true origins and the true purpose and the true use? And the other thing is they're like, oh, we're going to hash off this information. And I'm like, but that's the information you want in the blockchain. If you're hashing it off, what the hell is in the blockchain? All empty squares. Yeah. So everything they wanted that you'd want to like encrypt and whatever was getting hashed off. And I went, am I going insane? What is the point of this? And then one of the big shipping lines had a huge super blockchain, like 2 teams, and that all quietly disappeared.
Yeah, it has definitely.
They also got hacked a couple of times, and we're like, so how's that unhackable?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it was definitely overhyped, but I mean, so AI was back in the day and still is, I suppose, in some ways.
And and I totally agree. And I'm not saying there's not a place for technology, but I've also seen there's a very well-known quote unquote digital freight forwarder in the US who sort of puffs himself up, and there's just like not enough substance, not enough understanding of what it is, and everyone's like, but what makes you digital? Like, I think you're still using emails. I don't understand what makes you digital as opposed to anything else. And so now in the shipping industry, from my point of view, even though I was very like anti it in the get-go, I think now it's become a poison chalice in the industry, because if you say you're a tech person, you say you're a digital whatever, everyone's like, oh, just like X, Y. You know, there was a founder who raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, got done for wire fraud because he stopped paying his staff and bought like baseball teams and a jet, and got convicted to like couple of decades. And so anyone who's doing anything that doesn't already have a well-established reputation and they're doing a techified thing, because of all the influx of VC funding during COVID, basically everyone's like, nah, you got no idea what you're doing. Just expectation of failure.
Well, I suppose they're going after a particular part of the market that might not be as savvy as that, or...
Well, no, because it was... I could see why they thought it was right for it, but they didn't understand what it was that they were doing. So how can you innovate when you don't know what is there?
It's definitely true. I mean, I think in some ways, so when I do contract redesign, sometimes I don't have no idea what the actual document's all about. I work on documents that are completely different areas of law, but I'm not necessarily the legal expert in that. I'm the contract design commercial expert. Yeah. And then through that process of working through it, everyone kind of learns more, but it sounds like they're not going through that.
No, they're not bringing in, they're in this sort of like VC tech echo chamber. Yeah. And when people like me go, hey guys, have you thought about XYZ? And they're like,
just like multiples of
seed funding. Yeah. And so this is, but this has happened everywhere. And I'm going to be the person who puts my hand up and says, yeah, but you know, how would it do with this? And when it's crickets and silence, I'm like, oh, okay. So perfect. You don't actually have enough of a grasp of the basics, and it gets semi-frustrating and semi-amusing. But if anyone has a tech product I've consulted to tech startups and I tell them that their idea has no commercial value because I know no one will pay for it, and then they pivot, which was very funny. But if anyone has a tech startup in this space, I'll happily, you can pay me my consultant rates.
Well, I think it's a good one if anyone's thinking about using a digital something, then definitely,
Oh yeah, I'd love to see genuine innovation, but we can't even. Shipping industry always we're in the 1950s. We refer to telexes and faxes, like
good old facsimile.
Oh, love me a facsimile. I think our contracts still have facsimile in them.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I love it. That's my go-to to know when to redesign a contract, because the notice clause Send us a fact.
I love the notice clause.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground, but
Yes.
it's time for the famous lightning round. So, ask you a bunch of questions and hopefully short, sharp answers. Sometimes we ramble, but we'll see how we go.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm locked
Are you
in.
ready, Alison?
I'm locked in. Let's
Shipping
go.
lawyer. All right, what is your current go-to productivity tool or habit?
I use the Notes app in my phone to dump every single possible mental load admin task into there, but I actually triage it into today, which can only have like 3 or 4, and then the rest is under like tomorrow, and it's a list. I'm talking literally everything. I need to water indoor plants. I need to like buy some more ink for my printer. Whatever these little tiny things, whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I put it all into the Notes app, and then I go, what are the 3 things I need to do today? And everything else is caught.
Perfect. We love a good brain declutter. What is one thing you wish more in-house lawyers knew?
Please know that you can train your clients. I think there's a huge amount of fear in training. I love training my clients. I train my private law clients.
Yes.
It's great.
So
Do
good.
it.
Upskill.
Train your clients. As in train them to be the type of clients you want.
Yeah, upskill. Bring everyone along. I love that.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish every legal team would stop doing?
Stop dabbling in areas that you have no idea what you're doing and making a massive mess. And I say that as someone who didn't dabble in certain things when I was in house. But there's some areas that you shouldn't dabble in. We're not gatekeeping. We just know that you're about to expose yourself to like either crap tons of liability or crap tons of estoppel where you've absolutely screwed yourself on a claim. So please stop dabbling in things that you are like, I don't know, I just put it into ChatGPT. And hot tip, ChatGPT doesn't understand shipping law because there's so many like quote unquote invisible laws in international conventions and stuff. Just call me, please. don't dabble in shipping. There, I said it.
And finally, final lightning round question. Any book, article or resource that you'd recommend?
For personal growth, I would recommend the book Burnout. It's by 2 sisters, and it really deals properly for the first time I've ever seen a book around misogyny for women, and I've never felt so seen by what I call like an airport book, and it was transformative for me. And then if you're not into that, I would definitely recommend, if you're feeling like you're getting stagnant and you want something more, Atomic Habits.
Ooh, I love Atomic Habits. So Atomic Habits and Burnout. I think Atomic Habits is also one you can read every couple of years to refresh.
On my daily hot girl walks, chuck it on the audio.
Yeah,
on
perfect.
Spotify.
Perfect. All right. Well, we are at the end. One final question that we like to ask every guest is, because we're trying to share different ideas with our in-house, small in-house community, what sparked your interest lately, which might spark an idea for other legal legends. So tell me, what is a legal light bulb moment that you've had recently about the law or lawyering in general?
Well, I just celebrated 7 years of running my own law firm.
Hey. I wish I had like a button that would like... I'll edit it in maybe.
No, that'd be great. It'd be so good. Make sure it's mistimed. Just even hilarious. I finally feel like I'm a real... Like I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm legit now.
Definitely.
No, but there's something about it. I think that I've moved past that imposter syndrome, and I'm kind of like, 7 years you can't fluke 7 years.
No.
So I feel a lot more like calm, centered, confident, relaxed. Just going, this is what I'm worth, and if it doesn't align with your budget, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's great when you do almost snuggle into that knowledge of, whenever you're, if you're in-house or in your career, kind of, there's always things that tickle around the edges of, well, maybe I don't know what I'm doing there, but I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and I think for me, as being a law firm owner as opposed to being a lawyer, I sort of have gone, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I had COVID and stuff, like, a lot of challenges in the early days, but yeah, that was the probably can't resonate with a lot of people, but yeah, I had that moment where I just went, yeah, okay, this can't be taken away from me now.
I think it's a moment that if people haven't had that for themselves or for their career, they might be looking forward to it. I don't know if it ever fully arrives where you're just like, I know everything and I can do everything.
It's not even that.
It's
this sort of like calm knowing of,
oh, I can figure this stuff out.
Yeah. I can do this. This is good.
Fantastic. We love that. Thank you so much, Alison Cusack, for coming on to the Legal Lightbulbs podcast. Huzzah! And you can, of course, follow Alison on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn.
I have a newsletter. It's great. I have a podcast as well.
Newsletter, podcast. You'll find her everywhere. If you search the shipping lawyer Alison Cusack, then you shall find her. And you'll be up to date on aluminium cans.
Yeah. Now I got to go write a newsletter about that.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this episode of Legal Lightbulbs. You'll find all the good stuff in the show notes, including links, resources, and guest details. If something sparked an idea for you, please share the episode with a colleague or connect with me, Verity White, on LinkedIn, and let me know what resonated. It really helps me shape the show for other legal legends like you. Legal Lightbulbs is brought to you by Checklist Legal, a B Corp certified commercial law firm helping small legal teams in big brands modernise and transform the legal function to do business better. If you're thinking about kicking off your own transformation project, book in a chat today and let's make sure you kick it off on the right track. Until next time, happy contracting!